Before recording MIDI, there are several steps you need to complete to get ready. So I've got a default set open and I'm working in arrangement view. Remember that you can switch between arrangement and session with these two buttons here in the upper right hand corner of the interface, or you can press the tab key to toggle between the two views. So the first thing I want to do when getting ready to record MIDI is just double check and see if I've got MIDI input. So I'm going to press a key on my MIDI keyboard and I'm looking up here at the MIDI input indicator and I don't see anything. With this track record enabled, I should be able to hit a key and see MIDI signal on this track, and I don't. So the first thing you might want to do is check your connection of your device to your computer, and if that's okay, you're going to want to take a look at your settings. So let's go into settings here in Ableton by pressing our Command and comma keys, and that would be Control comma on a PC, and let's go down to Link, Tempo, and MIDI. Now you'll notice here under input ports for my keyboard, the track button has been disabled. And I did this on purpose just to remind us that that needs to be enabled for Ableton to see MIDI input from a device like my MIDI keyboard. Okay, with that enabled, I should be able to hit a key on my MIDI keyboard. And now we see both the MIDI input indicator as well as the meter on the track showing that there's MIDI signal. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm feeling that there's a little lag between my hitting the key and this lighting up. So I'm going to double check my latency. So I'm going to go to the audio tab to check the buffer size. And right now that's set fairly high at 1024 samples. So I'm going to bump that down to around 128 samples, which is what I find to be a good compromise between low latency and not having problems with CPU usage. So I'm going to bump that down to 128 samples, and then I'm going to hit my escape key to get out of settings. Okay, now that we've got MIDI signal, let's go into our instruments category, and I'm going to go down to Impulse, and I'm just going to load one of the presets here. I'll do that by dragging and dropping it on the track. And now I should be able to hit a key and hear sound. Well, I'm doing that and nothing's happening, and that is because this particular device is a real simple drum machine, and it only allows us to have 8 different sounds, and those are mapped from C3 up to C4. And by the way, C3 in Ableton Live is middle C. So I need to make sure that I'm playing in the right area of my keyboard or transpose my keyboard to the right octave. And so in my case, I'm going to go and try another octave. And when I do that, I've got sound finally. Okay, so now that we've got MIDI input and we've got sound, I want to double check the tempo that we're going to record at. And right now my tempo is set at the default, which is 120. If you want to change that, you can click into that field and type a different value, and then hit your return key to enter that value, or you can click in there and scroll up and down with your mouse. And let's set this around 110. Okay, next I can set my tempo over here in the tempo fields, and the first number is going to be the number of beats. For example, if I wanted to put that in 3/4, I can do that. And if I wanted to change the value of the beat to, let's say, to an 1/8 note, I could type an 8 there and then hit return. But let's put that back at 4/4 for right now. And then the last thing I'm going to do in this process of getting ready to record is turn on my metronome. And that is this button right here. And I can either click that to turn it on, or I can hit the letter O on my computer keyboard. And then you might want to check your settings for the metronome. So I'm going to click this little pop-up menu. And here I can determine the length of the count in. And if you're at a faster tempo, you might want to set a longer count in. But at around 110, probably 1 bar is going to be enough. And then below that, I can choose a sound from these 3 options. And then I can choose the rhythm that I'm going to hear. With this set on auto, it's going to play at the value that you've set for a beat in your tempo field. So I would get a quarter note. But if you wanted something else, you can choose that manually from these options. And for example, if I was going to record at a much slower tempo, I might need more pulses from the metronome to actually be able to feel the rhythm. So I might want to set this to an 8th note or either a 16th note. But I'll leave this on auto for now. And then the last thing I'll point out is this option down here at the bottom, which is enable only while recording. And that's nice because when you're just playing audio, you won't hear the metronome even though the metronome button is enabled. So I'm going to leave that on enable only while recording. So just to review, in getting ready to record MIDI, you want to double check that you've got MIDI signal. You want to load an instrument onto your track. You want to make sure that the buffer size is set at something where you're not experiencing latency. And then you'll want to check your tempo setting and your meter settings, and then enable your metronome. All right, so now that we've established a pre-recording routine, we're ready to start recording MIDI.